Hello, and welcome to the Ally Invest Daily Service Show. Today on our show, our theme is how to place a trade inside your Ally account. We have Sean Kuhn with us, who is an Ally Invest trading manager. Now, Sean will be highlighting how to enter a trade inside your Ally Invest account. But with that mentioned, our viewers are the ultimate drivers of the content of this show. If you have any general questions about the platform, please start putting them in the chat box on the right-hand side of the screen. I have to point out for privacy concerns that we can only address general questions about the platform, and please do not put in any account information or contact information into the chat box for all to see. The goal of this show is to help you out as much as we can in this open platform without compromising the security of your account. Okay, with that said, let me pass the reins over to Sean Kuhn, our Ally Invest trading manager. Hello, Sean.
Hi, Brian. Thank you. I'm happy to be here with you, and I'm happy for all the folks that have tuned in. And what we're going to start with is we're going to walk through how to trade in your account, specifically how to make a purchase is what we'll start with. So if you can see my screen, you'll see that I am logged in. I'm on the dashboard already. And for your initiation of a trade, what you'll do is you'll navigate to this drop-down menu here, which is trading. Now, the first thing we're going to demonstrate is how to purchase a stock, and we're going to walk through what each of the order types are. So in this case, we're going to select stocks. We offer trading in stocks and options and mutual funds. Now, you'll notice the first thing here is that it's pre-populated a quote for Apple. Now, you have the ability to change this to any default symbol you like. In this case, to demonstrate how to find a stock, what we'll do is, and it's intuitive here on the left, if you type in the name of the company, it'll pre-populate with potential ticker symbols for what you're attempting to buy. So in this case, I'm looking for Ford Motor Corporation. I'm typing in Ford. Now, this is actually a good example here because you want to be careful when you're placing your trade that the ticker symbol matches the stock you're actually trying to buy. There's a company called Forward Industries that has the symbol FORD. We're looking for Ford Motor Company, so we'll click here. Now, what you'll notice is it's pre-populated on the screen to buy 100 shares of Ford with a limit order of 1183, which is the current bid for the stock. And you have the ability here to change the share price, order quantity, and the duration. So in this case, what we're going to do is simply change this to one share. And we'll start with a market order. We're going to go from left to right. So a market order here means that you're going to buy one share of Ford at whatever the going rate is for Ford. Now, currently, if you look on the right hand of the screen, you'll see it's offered at $11.85. You'll get what the market price is. That might not necessarily be $11.85, but it'll be the prevailing market price. So let's preview that order. What you'll see on the screen is you're going to buy one share of Ford at the market, good for the day. So we're not going to place that order, but if we were, you would see that on your order status page. Now, as another example, let's go through a limit order. A limit order here is when you're being a little more price sensitive. So in this case, Ford is trading, it's moved a little since we first started talking, it's at 1188. Let's say you only wanted to purchase Ford if it went to $11 or lower. In that case, you can use the plus or minus. Or in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip right down and just type in 00. Now what we've got is in order to buy one share of Ford Motor Corp, only if it goes down to $11 or lower. Also, what you'll notice here is the duration. We haven't talked about that yet. I do see I have a question here. I'm going to go to Brian. Well, what do you have for us, Brian?
Well, all right, Sean, this is a little bit of a tax question overall. So I'm not 100% sure if you'll be able to address it, but I'm going to give it to you. Here we go. Blade Fist 2000 is the username. How do we view our portfolio performance over time? So do you know how to get there with inside the live trading platform?
Sure. So there's a couple ways to see your performance.
And I'm going to say first too that this is a test account. So just keep that in mind that we don't really know the data that's inside of this. But sure. Go ahead, Sean.
Let's take a look. I would first go to the dashboard. And then if I were to look at my tools, I'm actually going to go to my investment accounts, excuse me. Now, one way to look at your performance, if that's what you're asking on the question, this isn't going to generate your taxes, but this is where you would see your realized gain and loss for the year. Not sure if that answers your question as far as the portfolio performance. Now, another easy way is simply from the dashboard and go to your holdings page. And I do see, Brian, you've got another question for us. This will give you your performance both for the day and your total performance.
Excellent. Okay, so those are two areas where you want to go and find that information. Now, ultimately, they're also asking about a specific tax lot. Do you have the ability to show that inside here, Sean?
I don't have that ability here for your tax slot, but you will be able to see that from your Maxit, which we're going to cover in a future episode.
Okay, and I just want to let you know that it is possible. You might want to. We'll put a phone number in the chat box. You'll be able to answer that, and they can help you choose a tax lot in order if you're looking to sell a specific security. So that feature is available to you, but you're probably going to either have to use the chat box or the call-in number, and I'll put that in the chat box here in just 1 second. We do have another call out. This one is from, we'll call him JT Scott. Okay, here we go. Can you speak on custodial accounts? I established 2 last night for my twin daughters. Yeah, if you'd like, what question do you have in particular about a custodial account? I'll let Sean explain exactly what a custodial account is. Why don't you give just a little bit of a definition, Sean? And then, JT, do you have a direct question about the custodial accounts? And congratulations on the twins, by the way.
Sure. So as far as custodial accounts, those are accounts, and I congratulate you for setting that up. Those are accounts you set up for minors. They don't have to be your children necessarily, but they are for minors. The important thing to know is that the money in the account is for the minor. So even though you'll be the ones trading in the account, the money is the minor's account, and that account will actually be converted to an individual account for the minor once they become of age. And the age is not necessarily 18. It depends from state to state. That could be between 18 and 22, I believe. As far as trading is concerned, basic trading is permitted in a custodial account. Keep in mind, there's no margin accounts in a custodial account.
Okay, so another question coming back in, Sean.
Sure.
What is the best mix for investing? I did the aggressive core growth on the managed investing account. All right, so I can kind of help out a little bit with this one too. The best mix, if you're using our robo account, robo investing, and you're actually answering those questions to try to address how aggressive you want to be within your investing portfolio, the math behind the engine to try to pick out the funds that are going to be best for you to trade will help you out along the way. So the best mix, ultimately, you're going to get a suggestion as to what the mix of the ETFs would be. Now, you can do your own research and you can feel free to try to come up with your own mix. But now that's a general or a specific question about your situation. The robo-advisor is going to try to address that question and come up with a mix that it thinks is viable for your accounts overall. But keep in mind, those are suggestions. You can take those suggestions and you can let the robo-advisor trade for you. They'll keep you balanced within your account, or you can go out and try to do it on your own. There's two different ways that you can approach this in the Ally Invest account. And that's one of the things that Sean is showing you today is how to trade not only stocks, we'll actually review a little bit how to trade ETFs, even options if that's what you would like to do. That's the theme to the show today. So in general, the best mix in a platform like this is a very loaded question because we just don't know what your background is or what your portfolio or what your mindset would be within your investing. Anything to add to that, Sean?
No, thank you, Brian.
All right. So I do have another question to address here, Sean. It says, this is from P. Clips, P-K-L-E-S-P, okay? Is the ETF analyzer a tool that is available on the web page or only in the mobile app?
So you're able to use the ETF analyzer from the app, from both the on live, which you're looking at here, and that's under Tools, which is on the upper right, and ETF Screener. And you can do your filter from this page. So to answer your question, yes, it is available in the live platform, which you have access to.
Okay. All right. So with that said, I think you were on the next order entry for your stock, Sean, if you can get back to it. Sure. I know we were placing a trade on Ford. I think we're looking at probably the ones we get the most questions about actually on the show on order entry are stop and stop limits. So I'll just start by asking you, first of all, what is a stop, and let you explain that, and why do they have stop limits available on the trade ticket?
Sure, that's a great question. It's a common question that we get, Brian, and there is a distinction. So let's start with what a stop is. So the most common reason an individual will use a stop is to place an order to sell an existing holding that they have if a certain threshold is reached. And in that case, if you're long a stock, you own a stock. So if a stock goes down. So we'll stay with Ford as our example. Let's assume we already own Ford and we purchased it at, say, $11.93. Let's say that we've decided if Ford goes below $11, we want to sell it. And we don't want to we might not be able to monitor the account, so we want to place a stop right now. So what we would do is put a stop in right here. We would be selling our Ford with a stop of $11. Now, what that means is if Ford goes to 11, you now have a market order. Now, there's a crucial distinction there, and that's why we'll go to what a stop limit is. Once the threshold of $11, if Ford was to go down to $11, you would now have a market order. Now, a market order means you're going to sell at whatever the going market price is. That'll probably be around $11, but not necessarily. And the not necessarily, Brian, is why people sometimes use what's called a stop limit. Now, what you're doing in this case is saying, and I'll preview the ticket here for you. If Ford was to go to $11, I want to receive at least, say, $10.50. What that's doing is giving you a little added protection by saying, what if Ford was to reach $11, go down, and then move quite swiftly to $5? Not likely, but possible. And in this case, if you had not put in your limit, you'd be selling Ford at $5. So I know that can get a little confusing, but a stop limit is saying if your threshold is reached, you want to receive at least 1050. A plain old stop says if my threshold is reached, I'll take whatever the market is willing to pay for my holding. And I hope that clears up the distinction between the two. We can move on if you like, and we can keep this thing.
It does, Sean, but I have one question just in general.
Sure.
When you're looking at stop orders, what are they used for most of the time? It's kind of an odd little trading scenario there. So why would I want to use a stop order in general?
Generally to protect your portfolio, to sell a particular position if your shares go down. Now, many people are familiar with a limit order where they'll just place an order. Let's say you bought your Ford at $11. You say, hey, if Ford goes to $20, I'd like to sell it. That's just a plain old sell. What this is selling your position after it's gone down. Once you've made a decision that it's if a certain threshold is reached, I'd like to sell my position.
All right. So it looks like we're actually getting a little love here, Sean. JT Scott's like, thank you. I really appreciate the conversation about the custodial accounts. And KP Lips, Calypsed, is saying, sweet. I've been using my iPhone in general to do the searches. And I'd like to throw that back to him. What's some of the things, K Lips? I'll just call you PK. How about that? PK, what are some of the things that you actually like about the ETF screener? It is a newer tool that we've added to the Ally Invest platform. So we always like to get the conversation going and, share with the others out there in the chat box some of the features that you like about that ETF screener. And maybe that'll be a topic for one of the shows. Maybe we'll spend one of our daily service shows just talking about some of the highlights of that ETF screener. It's a new tool that we have. All right. So I got another one here. These usernames are killing me. Okay. So Otto, I'm going to call it AutoVids. Okay. We'll call him Otto. Hi, does Ally have any index fund ETF like the Vanguard VTI? Ew, that's a tough one. Ally in general doesn't manage mutual funds. The Vanguard VTI, Sean, you want to try to look for it? We'll try to look it up and see if we can find that symbol for it. Sure. And then maybe we'll even look at how to enter a mutual fund. But in general, we offer most of the Vanguard funds. So how about this, Sean? You start by looking at placing that mutual fund order. I think did we get through stop and stop limit?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. Okay. So let's look at how to enter a mutual fund. We do have that capability. It's part of the trading show. So let's highlight that. And I'll look for the VTI from Vanguard. I'm not quite sure what it is. Give me a couple of seconds here. I'm going to go on a different computer screen. I'll try to figure that out while you're kind of going through how you would enter a mutual fund. Sound great, Sean?
I happen to be familiar with VTI, so I know we do offer it.
Oh, you do? Okay. Well, then how about this? I'll let the subject matter expert look at it, and maybe you can find that. Maybe we can do our mutual fund order entry based off of that.
Okay. So I want to clear up for our questioner is so VTI is actually an ETF. So when you go to the trading page, that'll be in the same place where we were for Ford. So you'll go to stocks and ETFs. And it sounds like the questioner already knew the symbol, which is great. You'll notice if you type in VTI, you'll see it's the very first. You also want to verify, make sure you know what you're buying, but I happen to know this symbol. So it is the Vanguard Total Stock Index. So right here, we've got a pre-populated ticket to purchase VTI, which is a Vanguard product that we offer through Ally. It's an ETF, and we offer most all domestic ETFs. So here's where you'll be able to make your purchase. Before we could segue over to mutual funds if you like, Brian, or in the meantime, I would like to give the distinction here of duration. Every order that we've showed you so far was a day order, which means that order is only good for the day. And the day means from 9:30 a.m. Eastern until 4 p.m. If you place a good until canceled order, that good order will be good for 60 days. Now, a market order is always a day order because it's executed instantly. So we'll use VTI as an example. Let's say we were price sensitive on VTI. It's currently at $214.80. Let's say we only wanted to pay $213. If we select the duration of good until canceled, that order will be a live order from now for the next 60 days. And you will be an owner of VTI if it was to reach 213 in the next 60 days.
All right.
Now, if you'd like to see the mutual fund trade, that is also just to the left of the dashboard, where you'll select mutual fund.
And I also like that we're highlighting our new service thing inside your Ally Invest platform. Look at that across the top. That's just a little reminder. You're going to be getting those every day. We have a daily service show. So, all right, off to the mutual fund. Let's get her done.
Sure. So what we'll do is, if you just like the previous questioner knew their symbol, we'll put in another Vanguard product, the money market fund, which is, I'll type it in the screen for you. What you see here is a little different than what you saw previously. This is your mutual fund trade ticket. And you're not putting a share amount, you're putting a dollar amount. So the dollar amount that you want to invest. And most of these have minimums, which you'll want to be aware of. What you're being asked here is what you want to have done with dividends and capital gains for your mutual fund. And lastly, if you want to go through with the ticket, you'll need to acknowledge that you've read the prospectus for the mutual fund. By the same token, when you own a mutual fund, if you wanted to sell the entire fund, you would use this button. And you can also exchange from one mutual fund to the other. Brian, would you like to take a look at options?
Yeah, we got time. We got time. So let's do it now. Also, this gives me an opportunity to come back. We did put the 800 number in the chat box. So if you did have I think it was and I don't recall who was asking the question, but if you do want to find out how to enter tax lots for a specific lot inside your account, that is doable. Give our service desk a call or jump into our chat box. We'll try to address that question as quickly as possible. Right now, we do have people available. Hold times aren't that bad yet this morning at all. So please give us a call and see if we can address that question. Now, with that said, we got a little bit more love coming back. We got a couple of thank you guys from a few of the people out there. I want to let you know that you are the ultimate drivers of content. I'm going to pass this back to Sean. Let Sean address how to enter an options trade, which is my specialty. So I will see where we'll let Sean do that. But while he's doing it, please enter your questions inside the chat box. You are the driver of content. That's why we call this the Daily Service Show. So please do that, and I'll pass it back to Sean to see how we can enter an actual option trade.
Thank you, Brian. So similar situation here. What we do is go to the trading. Our choice here now is options. And we'll put in our symbol for Ford again, which we learned is F. But you'll notice here that you've only got one choice. And I'll explain what your first choice here. is it's defaulting here to what's called the near-term expiry, which is the forward option that's expiring this week as close as possible to the money. So you'll notice this is a $12 strike. Forward is at $11.98 right now. But let me show you how to find additional expirations and also different prices. So if you use this drop down right here, you'll see this gives you all the series that are available from May all the way out until January of 2023. Your strike prices can also be adjusted here. So I'm going to show you a few ways from this page. If you already know what series and what strike you're looking for, let's go out 1 week to May 28th, and we'll go with the $13 call. So the trade ticket on the right here is already pre-populating here to make that purchase for us. Buy to open 1 forward, expiring next week at $13. Good for the day, which we explained is that order will only be good for today. So let's preview that order. Now, my price here is 8 cents. It's telling me that I'm a little below the bid price. I could still, I would need to adjust this order to a higher price up closer to 19 cents. Let me cancel that order here. Preview that order. And there we go. So what it was telling me there was that the price I was willing to pay was much higher than the prevailing prices. And what that is a protection for you, just to make sure that you've selected the right series, the right price, and sort of a double check to see is this exactly what you intended to purchase. We're not going to place this order, but this gives you an idea of what you'll see. Brian, do you have another question for us?
Yeah, I do. And this kind of follows up on the ETF. We're having a nice discussions about ETFs today. So doing the order entry has really brought out the people just thinking about it. So I'm going to call it, once again, usernames are a little tough. I'm going to say PK here asks if we could continue the thought about mutual funds and ETFs. And the question is, can you explain the difference between a mutual fund and an associated ETF? And why would I want to buy a mutual fund over an ETF or vice versa in general?
Sure. That's a great question. ETFs are newer than mutual funds. So ETFs are in many ways a derivative of mutual funds. So the advantage to an ETF is you can purchase them all day and actively trade them. Mutual fund, when you place your order on the ticket that I demonstrated, you can only purchase a mutual fund once a day or sell it by the same token, and you're only getting what's called the net asset value. It's only available at the net asset value. You can't place a limit order for a mutual fund. You're either buying it or selling it. Many mutual funds and ETFs mimic each other exactly. With the only difference being that the ETF can be actively traded throughout the course of the day. Mutual funds have been around longer. Also, you may be getting significant price point breaks by owning a mutual fund, especially if you have a certain amount of money with each mutual fund family. So one easy way to think about it is an ETF is more of an actively trading vehicle, whereas a mutual fund is generally more of a buy and hold. Not that you couldn't buy and hold an ETF as well.
All right. So with that said, let me just kind of throw a little bit of fodder between that too. One of the big things about mutual funds, first of all, mutual funds were the first things that came around. There wasn't ETFs are, they're fairly new. I'm kind of dating myself now, but they've probably been around for around 10 years or so, maybe a little bit more than that. But with that said, it was a mutual fund, and actual ETF actually stands for exchange traded fund. So the biggest problem with mutual funds in general was that you could only get in and out of that mutual fund once a day, and that's at the net asset value. So in other words, they would determine their price on a daily basis. And still to this day, they're very useful when you're looking at retirement accounts. A lot of times you can only trade mutual funds in things like 401ks and 403bs. And in general, when you're looking at doing those trades, it's beneficial to that retirement account to say, okay, we're going to sell this one fund and switch everything over to this fund, and it's all going to be done at the net asset value. So there's still some benefits to mutual funds. I would say that ETFs are probably more popular, mainly because of the liquidity. The fact that you can just get out at any point in time and get a quote on the marketplace like we saw earlier on the VTI, and that's your price. You put in a market order, you would expect to get somewhere close to that price when you entered that order. So in general, ETFs are kind of taking over mutual funds a little bit. The most popular one out there is the SPY, which is a unit investment trust that actually tracks the movement of the S&P 500 index overall. So with that said, we're also getting a little bit more love in here inside the chat box. We have JT Scott coming back saying, thanks, I trade options at other platforms because I was unfamiliar with how to trade options on Ally. So with that said, I mean, we've got a few more minutes. We're going a little bit long here, but the fact that we're getting such good questions and participation, I think that we're going to just keep rolling with this. How about you just show the option change, Sean, and then we'll probably kind of quit on that theme, because this is in my experience, this is a more popular way for our clients to actually enter an order inside the Ally Invest chains. And I personally think that it's one of the easiest order entries in a lot of different brokerage firms overall that I've worked at over the years. So I'll pass it back to you, Sean, and let's show the option chains and how to enter an order from there.
Great. So previously we looked at trading for our options, but you can also go to the research button for options. We'll stick with Ford. And what you'll notice here is the screen looks significantly different. What you're getting here is you're getting the entire chain here for today, or for Friday, excuse me. Everything that's expiring here on Friday with all the related strike prices. The left is your calls, the right is your puts, which is very common in the industry. If you look at this drop down here, you can select the expirations you want. So what I've got selected is May through June. You could go pull out the whole series all the way to 2023. This way here, this gives you a bigger picture. If you're not sure, if you know you are interested in an option on Ford, but not sure which strike, which expiration, I've selected two here. What's expiring this Friday and next Friday. You can also expand the strikes here. Notice here that expanded in the middle here from $10 all the way to $16.50. Now, your next question is, well, how do I actually make this purchase? So let's say you wanted to buy the $14 call. What you would do is you'd simply select here. You'll notice it pre-populates to a buy. By the same token, if you wanted to select the puts, let's get rid of there. You'd be buying the puts on the right-hand side.
And that actually populates down in the option. There you go, in the strategy workbench. Yep.
Yep. Your next step is right here to place trade. And this is where it's going to preview the order here for you. So this has here's your quote here from 210 to 214. I'm looking at this closely because I don't want to make this purchase, but I don't want you to see that error message that we saw earlier. We'll put in a $1.80 bid. Preview the order. So what you see here is identical to what you saw on the previous page, the trading page, except you're seeing more strikes, more expirations, all on one page. So what I've got here is your preview order. You'll notice my limit's $1.80, which is close to the bid, which is why we didn't get that message saying your bid was too aggressive. Let me cancel that so I don't place that order. And we can also see if you want to tailor this, you can see a full trade ticket, which is you're not going to be able to see the series that you saw, but you'll get a full view here. You want something a little easier on the eyes, perhaps, or if you're new, you might want to try this page as well.
All right. Okay, Sean. Well, I think we're coming down to the end of it. We got a little bit more love in the chat box. PK is back saying, thanks, guys. Good program. Really appreciate the option stuff overall. And with that said, any last questions? I'm going to do one last call for questions here. And then I guess we can sum up the show for this week for the Ally Invest Daily Service Show. So ultimately, you are the driver of this content, and you guys made us have a great show today. So I really appreciate all your help by asking some great questions in the chat box. All right, so we have one last question that just popped up. Kids and Cars is back, and they have actually kind of a fun question. I guess they noticed the quick trade button in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and the question is, does the quick trade button make the trade go through quicker? So I'll pass that back to Sean, and I'll let you deal with that as you'd like, Sean.
Sure. No, that's a good question. No, the quick trade is just simply we call it quick trade because of the quick navigation to get to a trade ticket. Your executions are going through with the same speed, regardless of what platform or what ticket you're using. We call it quick trade for you to easily navigate to this page.
All right. Okay, everyone. Well, I guess that's going to be it for this edition of the Ally Invest Daily Service Show. We'll be back next Monday. Once again, ultimately, we might be doing this a little bit more often, but we'll be back next Monday as long as we keep getting great questions from our clients and we're actually able to answer a lot of them throughout this venue. That would be wonderful. That's our goal here with the show. So I want to make sure you click subscribe and ring the bell so you get all the notifications for the next Ally Invest Daily Service Show. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.